fifth graders. Today's topics are going to be order of operations, adding decimals, comparing numbers, and completing the whole number. And we're going to get started with order of operations. It's just like a review from all the other weeks, but as you know, PEMDAS is once again P stands for parentheses, E stands for exponents, M stands for multiplication, D stands for division, A stands for addition, and S stands for subtraction. And you need to use this in that exact order. And we're gonna do number 8 and number 10 together, but let's get started with 8. Number 8 gave us 4 to the second power times 3 to the third power. And since we're given exponents and multiplication right here, we know that exponents are going to go first due to PEMDAS. The E comes right before the M. So we're going to do 4 times 4 and 3 times 3 times 3. You could either do it, you could do it like this, like you can work it out, or you can just use a calculator or do it mentally. We know that 4 times 4 is just 16. And we need that 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is going to give us 27. So when we plug it into the new equation, it will be 16 times 27. Now we just multiply it out like regularly. And we do 6 times 7, which is 42. We bring the 2 down, bring the 4 up. 7 times 1 is already 7. We just add the 4, and we get 11, right? And then we put the placeholder 0, and then we go to the 2 and the 6, and we get 12. We bring the 2 down, and we bring up the 1. And 2 times 1 is just 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, and we get 112 plus 320. Now we just add, so we get 2, we get 3, and we get 4. So our answer for number 8 will be 432. Now we're going to do number 10, which gives us parentheses, right? It gave us 18 plus 15 divided by 5 divided by parentheses 14 minus 7. Now before we divide this whole thing, like right here, we see that we see 2 pairs of parentheses, and we know that parentheses go first. And so we're going to start off with the easier parentheses, which is 14 minus 7, and that's just 7. So we're going to bring down the 7, and we're going to bring the division symbol right there. That was in the parentheses, right? And then we're going to go to the other parentheses, and we see a plus sign and a division sign. And as we know, division comes way before the plus sign, right? Because D is right there and A is right there. So we're going to do division first, and then we're going to add it. So we know that 15 divided by 5 is 3, and then we're going to add it to 18, which gives us 21. Now that we have all the parentheses done, right? Because these were both parentheses, right? Now we're just going to divide them all together. And we know that 21 divided by 7 is 3. It gives us 3. So our answer for number 10 will be 3. And let me double check my answer just in case. Yep. Now let's move on to adding decimals. So this is different from multiplying decimals because obviously you're adding. But the rules for the decimals, it has to be, when you're adding decimals, you have to have all the decimals line up. So it gives us 1.5. I'm sorry, we're doing number 3. It gives us 1.5 plus 0.07. So in order to add decimals, you need to have the decimals line up. So since the decimal point is 0.07, and we see that the decimals right here line up, and we see that the 5 and 0 line up, and we're just going to add them. And we see here there's a blank space, so we're just going to assume that it's a 0, and then we're going to add. So we get 0 plus 7, which is a 7, 5 plus 0, which is just 5, and then we bring down the decimal, and then we do 1 plus 0, which is 1. So our final answer will be 1.75. I'm sorry, 1.57. So basically, adding decimals is really easy. You just need to make sure that the decimals line up with one another. Now we're going to do comparing numbers. So comparing numbers is when you assume that one is less than or greater than. And this is, oops, that's a bit too big. So this is, these are the symbols that you're going to use. This means less than, and this means greater than. So you see this opening right here? If one number is, if a number is greater than that opening is going to be facing towards it. And the number that's less is going to have this end point facing towards it. You understand what I mean when we do number 5 together. So number 5 gave us 310,516, and then there's like a blank, and that's where we're gonna put one of these one of these symbols. I'm sorry, I'm missing a symbol. You can also have equal to, which speaks for itself. It's when the numbers are the same. So these are the 3 that you're gonna use for this worksheet at least. Anyway, moving on. Number 5, it was 310,516 and 653,999. And we know that the ones place is probably going to be the smallest of the whole number, so we're going to look at the very left, which is obviously the hundredths place for both of these. And we see that both of them have the hundredth place, so we're just going to look at the number, and we see that they give us 3 and 6. And obviously we know that 6 is way greater than the number 3, so we're going to assume that 653,999 is greater than 310,516. So as I said, then we're going to do we're going to use the greater than symbol, but you have to face the opening to the number that's greater. So the opening is going to face the 6, and it's going to be like this. And the end point faces the lesser number, or a smaller number. So number 5 is going to be greater than. Now let's move on to completing the whole number. We're going to do number 2 together. Number 2 gave us a fraction 5 over 11 plus, we're going to assume, oops, that looks weird, we're plus, and then it gave us a blank space. I'm going to make it a variable, so I'm going to use x equals 1. Now, as we see here, it gives us a fraction, but then it gives us a whole number, right? So in this case, in terms of this equation, it's easier to make the whole number a fraction rather than make a fraction a whole number. So we're going to turn 1 into a fraction. And we know that 1 is the same thing as 1 over 1, right? But we need to have the same denominators, so we're going to have to make it into 11, and so we're going to have to multiply both top and bottom by 11, and we get 11 over 11. So 1 is going to turn into 11 over 11. So let's write that new equation. So it's going to be 5 over 11 plus x equals 11 over 11. Now we could just solve for x now. And we need to have x by itself, so we're going to subtract 5 over 11 from both sides. And we know that this will cancel out, right? Because positive and negative, right? So we're left with x equals 11 over 11 minus 5 over 11. And you can actually just subtract, you can actually solve for this because they have the same denominator. So it's going to be 11 minus 5, which gives us 6, right? And the denominator is going to stay the same because they have the same denominator. So it's going to be 6 over 11. So your missing number will be 6 over 11. And you could check your answer by just doing 6 over 11 plus 5 over 11, and we get 11 over 11, which is just 1, right? And that's all I have for you guys today. I hope this video helped you a bit.